Unique Queens, Kiana Unique here. Welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be making fabric face masks to help protect you and your loved ones against flu or the coronavirus, whatever it may be. So first you're going to need some tightly woven fabric. Quilting fabric is recommended. Next you're going to need 3/8 inch elastic, or an 1/8 inch is even better. If you don't have that, you can use 3/8 inch ribbon, and I'll show you how to do that. So I'll make two different masks so that way I can show you how to use the elastic as well as the ribbon. You're also going to need, of course, measuring tape and a marker. Okay, now with your measuring tape, what you want to do is measure your jawline, right where your jaw stops, to your chin, and I have 4 inches there. Next, you're going to place it on your nose, hold it there, and go right up under your chin, almost to your neck, and get that measurement. Mine was 6 inches, as you can see. Once you have those measurements, you want to place your tightly woven cotton fabric in half, so that way when we make these cuts, you will have one for each side of the face, because of course we're going to sew it down the middle. So what we're going to do is take our measurements. Remember, we had the 4 inches at the bottom. We're going to add 1.5 more inches there for our sewing and seam allowance for our for our ribbon or elastic to go through. So I'm simply going to mark the bottom line here, and that's going to be our base of our face mask. So a total of 5.5 inches at the bottom. Now that we have our first measurement down, we're going to now take that second measurement, which was from our nose to up under our chin, and we're going to place that about 1 inch to 1.5 inches in, and we're just going to make a dot there so we'll know how far to go upward. The next thing we're going to do is take a 4-inch measurement, and this is going to be for the back part of your mask close by your ears, and you want to draw a 4-inch line connecting your bottom to that side. And then what you're going to do, I free-handed an arch to connect the top nose point to the top back portion by the ear. Now you don't have to freehand this. You could kind of use something that's rounded to get that, but as you can see, I had to do it a couple of times until I got it just right. You could actually take a couple more measurements from your nose to your ears to get it precise. Anywho, once I have that, I cut it out, and now I am going to do my inner lining. So I've cut out my outer lining, my outer fabric, and now I'm going to do my inner fabric. So once again, I'm taking my measuring tool, and I'm going to go back in to that 4-inch mark. So my outer fabric is going to be at that 5.5. My inner fabric is going to be at that 4-inch measurement at the bottom. And the reason why we're doing this is the portion that we're going to fold for the elastic or the ribbon, we don't need 2 layers in that spot. We only need the 2 layers to protect our face. And so that's why I kind of pinned that one forward, and then I'm just going to simply cut this out, and the black is going to be my inner lining. Now I have my outer lining, and I have 2 pieces for that, as well as 2 pieces for my inner lining. The next thing that we're going to do is sew the curved edges first. So I am going to pin along my inner and my outer, and I'm going to sew along those curved edges. Now that those are sewn, and I did use just a basic straight stitch, being mindful of my curves, taking my time on sewing this. So now what you want to do is you want to take your outer fabric and flip it over to where the right side is facing inward, and then take your inner fabric and put the right side inward, so that way both right sides are facing each other. I hope you're following me right now, but both right sides are going to be facing each other, and you're going to pin them together and then sew along the sides. Now every time I sew, I'm only sewing about 3/8 of an inch inward, just because we don't need much of it sewn inward. Just 3/8 of an inch should be good enough for your seam allowance that you're going to sew in. And it's going to be a straight stitch, and don't forget to do a double stitch at the beginning and at the end of each one, and make sure on the left and the right side that you leave it open. And the reason why we're leaving it open is because now we have to turn it in right side out. It was inside out, so now we have to turn it right side out. And as you can see, I'm pulling it, and I'm making sure that all of the pieces are pulled all the way out for our next step. Once you have it all pulled out, I do advise you to go ahead and iron the creases flat, so that way you can fold your edges properly. Now I am going in about 3/8 of an inch for the hemline, and then I'm going to go back in that another inch or less than an inch, and this is creating the pocket for our ribbon or elastic. I'm going to pin it down, and then I'm going to sew it as well. This will also be a straight stitch, making sure that at the beginning and the end that you do a backward stitch, so that way none of the stitches will come out. Once you've done that, it is time to put the elastic in. Now this is the first way you can do it. Of course, you're going to put a safety pin at the end of your elastic, and you're going to feed it through. I'm feeding it up one side, and then I'm going to bring it around and down the other side. Once you have your elastic in on both sides, you are going to sew the two ends together. You can use a zigzag stitch or a back and forward straight stitch to seal these two together, and that is it. This is mask number 1 with the elastic. I really like this mask. Now let's go to mask number 2. So for the ribbon, what you're going to do is measure half of your head. You're going to put it in the back, bring it around your ear and back to the middle of the back of your head, and then make sure there's some extra at the end that you're able to tie with. Once you have that measurement, you're then going to double it. Mine came up to 22 inches long, so doubling it made it 44 inches. So I used a total of 44 inches of ribbon, and then I put it through the opposite way of the elastic one. Once you have it on, it should have where the back half is not, the bottom half is where you don't tie, and that way you can pull it snug to the back of your head and make sure that it goes over your nose, and then the top portion of the ribbon is where you're going to be able to tie and secure it. And then you're going to make sure that it's placed nicely up over your ears and make sure it's not going to slide off, and that is it, you guys. I hope this video was helpful. Do make one for you, your friends, and your family. And you guys, be safe, be unique. See you next week.